Welcome to a new episode of the Radiant Woman. I'm Georgiana, and I invite you in a safe space where we can have conversations that inspire and empower. Tonight, I would like to present the topic of healing emotional wounds. We all have them. We all are influenced by them in our daily life, and when we understand how they appeared, how we create them, what's the mechanism of them, we can heal the past ones and we can stop creating new ones. We all have needs. If you take into consideration Maslow's pyramid of needs, where he describes the basic needs like, for example, sleep, food, shelter, and moving on to emotional and mental needs, and at the top of the pyramid there are the spiritual needs, the highest level. If you take into consideration all the work that Marshall Rosenberg did with the nonviolent communication, where he describes how we as human beings are driven by our needs, and that the needs are a natural expression of the life inside of us. And if we go way back in history to Buddha, who also described how the suffering appears, then we have a little bit of an understanding, a little bit more of an understanding of how we function, how we work. Our emotional wounds appeared when some of our needs are unmet, and we start associating and interpreting what other people do or say in relation to us. And instead of being in our heart and looking at that from a compassionate perspective, we have the tendency to go up in the head and start judging, interpreting, giving a certain, associating a certain wrongness or of something which is wrong, something which is not good. And this mental interpretation is the one that is creating actually the wound. It would be absolutely wonderful to be able to let go, to not take things personally, so that when people do things or say things that have the potential to hurt us, that we let them come in and out without creating any unnecessary ripples in our psyche. When we all know, including me, that we are not very good at this. So what to do? What to do about it? I noticed that one aspect that is very useful is to understand the inner mechanism, how we function, what is going on inside, so that we can understand the process and do something about it. Because otherwise, especially, I don't know many people who are all the time happy. I don't know many people who never had any issues in the childhood that affected them in a negative manner. So all our personal history, starting in our childhood, is imprinting us, is creating certain inner mechanisms. It's like a computer program in our subtle structure that is running there. And every time a situation or a person resembles somehow what happened once upon a time when we got hurt, when it happens again, it triggers those memories, and it triggers in us the same reaction as we had back then, and we will feel hurt or sad or angry. We will recreate a wound. And you can also imagine, when we have wounds that we carry with us, it's like, imagine that you have a wound on your hand, and then because you don't know how to deal with it and you don't want to show it to other people, you put a glove on it. And then you meet somebody very nice and you like the person very much, and you get acquainted and you want to shake hands. When the other person shakes your hand, without knowing that you have a wound under your glove, touches the wound and it hurts. But the person had no idea that you have the wound, and the intention of that person was to greet you, not to hurt you. So even if this example might seem a little bit far-fetched, it helps us understand a little bit how we work subtly, emotionally. Everything that we have experienced in our childhood that influenced us in a negative manner taught us how to protect ourselves, how to react. Almost nothing in our childhood taught us how to see the reality as it is, assess the situation, understand the mechanisms, understand the fact that we have needs and the other one has needs, and we can meet the needs or not because we want, or we don't want because we can or we cannot. So everything that we have experienced in our childhood created a program in our subconscious mind that is running all the time. So now when we are adults, these programs are still running, they are still influencing us. And nothing in the school system, nothing in the society, and also in our families, they didn't teach us how to let go. They didn't teach us how we really function. In the school system, we learn a lot about how to become a work human being. They don't teach us how to become a human being, how we function, why we function the way we do, what are the mechanisms of our inner universe. There are the spiritual systems that are teaching this a lot, but again, you have to meet somebody who is really very good in helping you understand and helping you putting into practice all this. So from this perspective, combining the psychology and the neuroscience and the spirituality, we can say that we have different inner structures. We have something which is called the ego, and to it is attached the mental structure, the mind, which is helping the ego a lot to create all the melodrama in our life. We have a soul, we have a spirit, we have the consciousness. When we manage to center ourselves, to go beyond all the noise of the mind, to go beyond all the demands the ego are coming with, when we can center and be in our essence, when we can sit in our consciousness, then what we experience is simply this. It is an experience. We don't label it, we don't judge it, we don't take it personally. We simply watch what is going on. This doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that you will not take a stand, or you will not say no, or you'll just put up with no matter what. It doesn't mean that. It simply means that we have another capacity, higher capacity to see reality for what it is. As women, we were taught that we need to put up with almost anything. We shouldn't complain. It's all right to settle. We need to know our place. I can make a long list with all these type of stereotypes that we learn as women. And also, somehow, many times, we don't receive exactly the love we need. And then we learned, especially when we are younger, that we have to make an extra effort to be loved, that maybe we don't deserve love, that maybe we are not good enough, not beautiful enough, not erotic enough, not sensual enough, not housewife enough, I don't know. We convince ourselves that we are not enough, that the way we are is not good enough for us to simply be loved. And then, because of that, we allow a little bit too much. We allow to be treated in a manner which is not all right. And this is why one of the previous Facebook Lives, one of the previous videos, I was speaking about how a high value woman lives. So because of this personal history we have, what we learned in our life, what we learned in the family and in school, as women, we became susceptible to and vulnerable to creating emotional wounds, because we have this mentality that I'm not good enough, and then when somebody says something or does something to me, I take it more personally than maybe it was intended. How to heal emotional wounds? We need, and I know it will sound a little bit, maybe it will sound difficult, but we need to divorce the doer of the act, the person who said or did something to us, from what we feel. Nobody, absolutely nobody, can make us feel something that we don't want to. I will repeat it. Nobody, absolutely nobody, can make us feel what we don't want to. So we have to divorce the person that did or said something to us from how we feel. We feel this way because we interpreted what the person did or said. I know you can come with arguments that sometimes it's obvious that what the person does or says is totally wrong. It's not acceptable. Yes, from a certain point of view, you are right. But from our inner point of view, where we want to heal ourselves, this is not good for us, because if we think like that, if we live like that, we give them power over us. We will become their victims, and we are never victims. So the first step we need to do is divorce the doer from how we feel. Nobody can make us feel anything we don't want to. The second step is to realize that it is our interpretation of what they did or said that created the unpleasant feeling and eventually the wound. So when we are in connection with our needs and we can place ourselves in the heart and use our empathy, we will understand. But from here, we will feel it, we will understand that when a person says something or does something which is disharmonious, not all right, you can name it however you want, it is because that person also is in pain. We all know that when we are happy, when we are harmonious, when we are fulfilled, when we are blissful, when we are full of pleasure, we behave accordingly. That reflects how we behave, and what we say reflects our inner state. So a person that says insulting things, or that behaves in a disharmonious manner, in a not okay manner, that person is in suffering. That person also has needs that are unmet, but doesn't know how to express it. So that person expresses them in a manner which is creating violence, which is creating unnecessary suffering. So this is the step that you also have to go through. And then the next step is having compassion for ourselves, forgiving ourselves that we gave our power to another human being, when in reality we shouldn't have done that. We didn't need to do that. We always are in control of what happens inside of us. We have zero control upon other people, situations, reality, life. Many times we don't even have enough control upon our own thoughts and emotions. So to expect that we can be able to control the environment, the situations, the people, life, it's going to lead to failure. So we need to center, understand these inner mechanisms and this process, this reality, and train our ability to let go, to understand that people who behave not okay, they are also suffering, they are in pain, and they don't know how to express their pain, their own pain, and they express it in a violent manner that creates that sends out an energy which is out of balance. And we heal our wounds when we forgive ourselves, and we are able also to forgive the other, because we understand that we were lost in translation. We didn't understand what the other person actually had as an intention. We didn't feel empathically what the other person had as needs. I don't mean that you should condemn what they do, or what they did, or what they said, but it is really for our own good necessary to use our empathy and not our judgment, to use our ability to not take it personally, to be centered and quiet, and understand that these wounds was created out of the pain of two people. They didn't know how to express what they needed, and that created a disharmony which led to a wound. It is a long journey, especially if we manage to have a collection of emotional wounds. But there are ways which are not very complicated in which we can do that. So one way I just described it, empathy, listening with empathy to the other one, then understanding that the other one didn't make us feel or didn't do anything to us. We interpret it in a certain way, and that interpretation created the feelings in us which led to the emotional wounds. We need to forgive ourselves for not knowing better. We need to understand that the other person was in pain when the person said or did that. And to be able to have also empathy for their unmet needs that led them to behave in that manner, and not take it so personally. So when we can take a step back and connect to our consciousness, connect to our heart, and let go of the mind and of the habit of judging others, that will help us tremendously. We can be transparent, we can be soft, and we can be centered in the heart where the healing takes place. I would love to hear your comments, to read your comments, and if you feel that this video is of help and inspiration, like it, share it, tag another woman who you think she needs to hear this.